Okay, today's team analysis will be on the 1984 World Series champion Detroit Tigers, the 104 win team. They started off the season 35-5 and rolled through the postseason as they swept the Royals and beat the Padres in 5 games in the World Series. So let's get right into the 1984 Tigers. Starting at the very top of the lineup with the classic combo of Lou Whitaker and Alan Trammell, you're going to see how both of their numbers, as far as getting on base and setting the table, are really very impressive. Whitaker has a versus lefties 10 out of 33 chance on his card versus righties 13 out of 33. And Alan Trammell, his numbers are also excellent, 15 out of 33 versus lefties and 12 out of 33 versus right-handed pitching. So both of them absolutely terrific at getting on base. I would even also say that Alan Trammell is what I might call a little bit of a Strat-O-Matic tweener when it comes to where you could hit him in the lineup, because his runner advancement numbers for a number two hitter are very solid when you consider versus both left-handed and right-handed pitching. He has 5 hits on his card against both lefties and righties, where you have multiple base advancement by potential base runners. So that is very impressive numbers for a number two hitter. So if you ever happen to play with the 1984 Tigers and you want to play around with the Tiger lineup a little bit, you could sort of get away with hitting Alan Trammell third. Although, as we all know in real life, the classic combo was Whitaker 1, Trammell 2. Now, let's look into the middle of the order with the 1984 Tigers. They had Kirk Gibson hitting third. And Gibson is a guy who, as far as his hits with multiple base advancement by base runners, you see his numbers are pretty much the same versus lefties 6 out of 33 and versus righties he's 5 out of 33. Now, even though I know neither one of those numbers really jumps out at you, what I like about it is that he's not really phased either way by facing a righty or a left-handed pitcher. So that's what I really like to see out of my 3, 4, 5 guys. Are they guys who can hit pitchers from the opposite side? So even though 6 out of 33 and 5 out of 33, those numbers are not great, I will definitely take them out of my number three hitter. And then when you look at Lance Parrish, the cleanup hitter, his numbers very good against lefties, 8 out of 33, and versus right-handers, 5 out of 33. So overall, I would say the 3, 4 hitters for the 1984 Tigers, I wouldn't say very good, but I would definitely call them good. Now, as we dig a little deeper into the 1984 Detroit Tigers lineup, and this is what really pops out at you as you go deeper into the lineup, you're going to see really some really incredible numbers when it comes to getting on base and constantly having traffic on the base pass. You look at a guy like Darrell Evans, and when you look at his on base chances against lefties and righties, you see he is absolutely incredible at getting on base. 18 out of 33 versus lefties, 15 out of 33 versus righties. Now, his hits with multiple base advancement are not that great. However, you can live with that because he is so good at getting on base and help create traffic on the base pass. And then when we go deeper into the lineup, you look at a guy like Chet Lemon, his on base numbers versus lefties 17 out of 33 and versus righties 10 out of 30. And then as we dig a little deeper into Chet Lemon, his hits with multiple base advancement versus left-handers is 9 hits on his card out of 33 chances. You will get multiple base advancement out of Chet Lemon. That is an excellent number. And then let's take a look at a guy like Rupert Jones, who plays left field versus right-handed pitching. His ability to get on base, 13 out of 33 chances if you roll his card. Now, the guy that he platoons with in left field, Larry Herndon, 12 out of 33 chances of reaching base. And as far as Larry Herndon's multiple base advancement by a base runner, he has 5 hits on his card. So really, this is a very well-rounded lineup where none of the middle of the order guys are what you would call, all-world Strat-O-Matic players. But when you look at the overall depth and versatility of this Tigers lineup. And here's how I grade out the 1984 Tigers overall offense. As far as on base percentage, that was easy. I definitely give them a perfect 5 out of 5. As far as righty lefty mix and depth throughout the lineup and throughout the team, that was also a very easy call. I give them a 5 out of 5. And as far as their ability, the middle of the order, 3, 4, 5, 6 guys actually driving in runners. Well, I can't give them a 5 out of 5, but I am going to give them a 4 out of 5 because that ties into a lot of the righty lefty mix and how you got guys like Kirk Gibson and Lance Parrish who are not phased by facing pitchers from the opposite side. So it is really a very user-friendly lineup if you're playing Strat-O-Matic with the 1984 Tigers. So my overall offensive rating for the 1984 Tigers is a 4.6 out of 5, which is very, very good. Now, real quick, let's go through some defensive notes before we get to the pitching. The middle of the infield, it really doesn't get any better than this with Lou Whitaker and Alan Trammell at second base and shortstop. Both of them are ones with very, very low E ratings. Even Alan Trammell, E14 at shortstop is just incredible. That is just you're not going to find many shortstops with a lower E rating than a E14. I think one year, I think it was Derek Jeter's 1998 card. He was a 1 and an E10. But yeah, you're not going to find many shortstops who are like below an E16. So that is a very easy score for a 5 out of 5 as far as the Tigers' middle of the infield defense. Now we look at the outfield defense, and you're really got a perfect center fielder in Chet Lemon, who is a 1 and an E2. And when you look at the left field defense, you got Rupert Jones out there. You got Larry Herndon, who plays against lefties. The only thing that brings down the outfield defense score just a little bit is Kirk Gibson in right field. He is a 3 and an E15. Now, I will give the Tigers outfield defense a 4 out of 5, but I'm not going any lower than that because the fact that Kirk Gibson is a corner outfielder, it makes his 3 E15 a little bit more tolerable than if he was a center fielder. If he was a center fielder, it would have brought down the entire outfield score even more, and it would have brought down the entire defensive score a lot. So I will give the Tigers outfield defense a score of 4 out of 5, which is excellent. And my overall E rating for the 1984 Detroit Tigers, I will give it a perfect 5 out of 5 score because I am such a big fan of what they have up the middle between Parrish, Whitaker, Trammell, and Chet Lemon. They're also very solid in the corners with Tom Brookins and Darrell Evans, Dave Bergman. You could use at first base. So overall, it is a excellent defensive team whose final defensive rating comes out to a 4.6. Let's take a look at the Detroit Tigers starters. Let's start with the ace, Jack Morris. Let's look at his splits. You could see they're the same versus lefties and righties. Both of them are good numbers. Not great, but very good. 9 out of 33. Let's look at the number 2 guy, Dan Petrie. You see his numbers are very solid, 8 out of 33 and 9 out of 33. Then you look at Milt Wilcox. His numbers are actually even better than Dan Petrie's, as he's a 7 out of 33 and 9 out of 33. So when you look at the Detroit Tigers starting rotation, and then you factor in the other starters, Dave Rozema, Juan Berenguer, and you look at their numbers, Berenguer, 9 out of 33, 10 out of 33. Rozema's numbers, a little bit high against lefties, 12 out of 33, but he makes up for it against righties with a 8 out of 33. So if I was to give a score for the 1984 Detroit Tigers starting rotation, I would give the ace a 4 out of 5 because, like I said before, Jack Morris's card is good, not great. However, I will give the depth in the starting rotation, when you look at guys like Dan Petrie and Milt Wilcox, I will definitely have to give them a perfect score of a 5 out of 5. So the Detroit Tigers 1984 starting rotation get a final score of a 4.5 out of 5, which is excellent. Now let's take a quick look into the bullpen. And if you saw my video on the series that I played a while back between the 1984 Tigers and the 1976 Reds, you heard me rave about what a great card Willie Hernandez had that year. And when you look at his numbers, they're just really, really off the charts. 4 out of 33 chance of reaching base versus both righties and lefties. And what makes him even more of a bigger weapon out of the bullpen is he has a 3 inning point of weakness. So this is really one of the better Strat-O-Matic cards you're ever going to come across when it comes to a closer. So Willie Hernandez gets a very easy score of a 5 out of 5 when you look at the closer. When we look at the rest of the Tiger bullpen, the numbers are good, not great. You look at Aurelio Lopez, 10 out of 33 versus lefties versus righties, 9 out of 33. You look at Doug Bear, 10 out of 33 and 11 out of 33 versus righties. You got a lefty, Sid Manji, out of the bullpen, 8 out of 33 versus left-handed batters, which is good, and versus righties, 13 out of 33. So I do like the fact that this Tiger bullpen can eat up a lot of innings if you ever find yourself getting into a bullpen game. And they do have a viable lefty option before you get to Willie Hernandez in the late innings. However, I cannot give this bullpen depth a perfect score of a 5 out of 5. So they will get a 4 out of 5 when it comes to depth, and the overall bullpen score will come out to a 4.5. Now, if I'm to break everything down and look at the team as a whole, you're going to see that the Detroit Tigers average out at a 4.5 out of 5, which is an excellent, excellent score. Which, again, I'm happy I came out to that number because this is one of the more solid Strat-O-Matic teams you're ever going to see and ever going to play with. This is a very, very hard team to beat. When you look at the depth in the starting lineup, their ability to get on base, I didn't even really hit on the speed that they have on the base pass. Very good righty lefty mix, very good depth on the bench as well. They got a lot of guys who could come in and you could plug in. Again, like I said, there's really no discernible holes defensively other than if you want to call right field a hole, that's okay. But again, that's only right field. That's not center field. Starting pitching is very good, and they've got one of the best closers you're ever going to see in Strat-O-Matic. So this is really one of the best Strat-O-Matic teams that I've ever come across. And if you ever get a chance to play with the 1984 Tigers, definitely check them out. It is a very, very good team. Well, that's my analysis on the 1984 World Champion Detroit Tigers in Strat-O-Matic. Hope you enjoyed the video. My next video will be on the 1979 Pittsburgh Pirates. Have a good day.